Welcome to A Kinder World of Commerce. This is Santa Barbara, and I'm Monica Lenches with my co-host Claudia Rucker, bringing you this month's locally owned and socially responsible business, LOACOM. Welcome, Eric, to A Kinder World of Commerce. I'm very excited to have you with us. There's just tremendous value that you bring to our community, and I'm very excited to share that with our viewers. So why don't we tell our viewers a little bit about what LOACOM does in our community?
Yeah, LOACOM is a mission-oriented marketing agency. We work with brands to tell their stories and reach their audiences and really fundamentally build their movements. My business partner, Dave, and I came at this business through different avenues, but they started with on the ground change making, community organizing, community building before we got into the business sector. And ever since we were working together, starting even in college at UC Santa Barbara, we were always working under this philosophy of building a better world. Corporate social responsibility is part of our DNA. We feel like it always has been, and we are in business to make change and to make impact. And so, sustainability really is at the crux of everything we do and how we want to show up in this world. So yeah, that was our approach coming in, and we've stuck with it.
Well, that's a really great segue to our next question, which is what are your company's core values and how do you operationalize those on a daily basis?
It's interesting because we have so many of them. We have 10 values, I think it's 10, and we call them our fundamentals. We call it that along with our mission and our vision because the entire company is built on a certain bedrock, right? A base. In this case, it's a set of very strong values and ethos that we believe in. And so those are fundamental to us. They're fundamental to our work, they're fundamental to who we hire, and they really set the course for how we show up in society and in this community. So, like I said, we have 10 values. I don't need to list them all, but there's values around being strategic, there's values and a very important value around the power of connection and connecting people to each other. We've always valued ourselves as connectors. We have values around optimism, honoring the feminine, very important. And maybe that's something that's not usually encouraged in the business environment, but we feel that that's a very important part of who we are and how men in many cases need to show up in the world acknowledging and honoring feminine values and characteristics. Regeneration, so there's a whole set of values that we really adhere to. And I think the first way we really start to operationalize those is in who we hire, right? um, our employees are representatives of the company. And because we get in front of a lot of partner agencies, and some of our partners are government agencies, some of them are nonprofits, some of them are philanthropic foundations, we're representing ourselves and our ethos of how we see the world in front of many, many people. So I'm confident in saying that most of our employees, all of our employees, align with our values to the T. And then you build from that. You build a company culture, a corporate culture that starts with your employees. It resonates out, it resonates up, and you can have faith in your employees as they go out into the world. But to really get into it, we operationalize it. We're a certified B Corporation, which I think we might talk a little bit more about that. We are a longtime member of 1% for the Planet, meaning we give 1% of our annual revenues to conservation nonprofit agencies. We really deep into what it means to be a agency that honors diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. But we're excited because it's important.
And what would you say is the difference between the traditional for profit only business and the business that you're running?
This country was built on exploitation of resources and exploitation of people. And first, they go hand in hand. But when we talk about how the Industrial Revolution really catapulted this country to today, really, foundationally, we know that in order to have that initial growth, there was a need for extraction. extraction of resources, extraction of lumber, extraction of oil, use of water, and all of these different natural resources, which we were able to do at that time in the way we did it because we didn't know the consequences of that. And so I believe that that type of growth fueled our economy. But the question is really at what cost, and at what cost over time. Because as you start to lose those resources, the impacts on biodiversity, the impacts on water quality, the impacts on air quality, those start to be seen. And we've seen them and we're seeing those. And so, I think the difference is the bottom line was the dollar at the time. Even as recently as today. I mean, still for many companies the bottom line is the dollar regardless of the cost, the external costs. Thank goodness that there has been a recognition that there are impacts, negative impacts to the environment and negative impacts to people that, if not addressed, really depress an economy and also ruin the very foundations upon which our economies stand, namely our resources and our people. And so I think there's starting to be a recognition around that. And there has been for many years, right? One of the pioneers probably is Patagonia. And for however many years, Yvon Chouinard really recognized that he could build a company, an innovative company, to build initially rock climbing equipment, and then he built a whole line of other products around that. But he could do that while doing social and environmental good because it made business sense to do so. Patagonia was one of the first companies that really brought that model forward in a very public and easily digestible way. And they told great stories, they have great imagery, they have great ambassadors, and it's clear that it pays to be sustainable. And now, thank goodness, many businesses have jumped on board with that because they recognize the precarious situation we're in globally, and they realize that there is profitability in sustainability. And so then the question is, what can I do to be a part of the solution and move away from this very extractive way of doing business to a regenerative way? Regenerate our ecosystems, regenerate the fractured communities that we are in, regenerate our health. It goes beyond sustainability, right? Sustainability is trying to maintain some sort of status quo, even if that status quo is good, right? Protect our waters and protect our forests. That's being sustainable. Being regenerative is bringing back from the damaged state into a state of regrowth and abundance. And so I think that's really important because we are in a situation where we have lost 95% of our forests. We're losing the rainforest in the Amazon basin. We've polluted most of our waterways. We've lost all of our wetlands. And so how do we acknowledge that that's real and that we can regenerate from that state? We just have to take the steps as businesses and communities and organizations to do those things that are regenerative.
I know that obtaining the B Corp status can be a daunting task and require a tremendous time commitment. What was it that motivated you to invest time and energy into this process? And in what ways will having this certification be of benefit to the world?
We are very lucky, I would say lucky and honored for sure to be a B Corp, a certified B Corp member. There are 4,000 businesses that are certified B Corps across the globe. And the reality is we're in good company as a B Corp. And so why did we become a B Corp? We became a B Corp, and I'll explain what that means exactly in a second. But we became a B Corp because, like I said at the beginning, we feel that fundamentally corporate responsibility is an imperative way of doing business. And B Corp, the work that they do and the stamp that they bring to our communities is really around environmental sustainability and governance and your workers and the community in which you operate and your customers. So they really look at these 5 kind of pillars: governance, workers, community, environment, and customers. And they look at how you as a business treat those 5 pillars. What it really does for us is it's an internal stamp that tells us as the executives in this company, it tells our employees that we really value our workers, we value the community in which we operate. We have a governance system that is transparent and open to input and insights. So it really, I think, fundamentally starts as an internal way to rate yourself as how you show up as a company. Patagonia, as I mentioned earlier, they were one of the early adopters of B Corp certification. The global food company Danone is a certified B Corporation. Sierra Nevada Brew Company is a B Corporation. There's many, many businesses that have taken it upon themselves to become certified because they recognize that business can be used as a lever for good. And that's what we're all about, is really leveraging the business savvy, the capital, the resources that we bring to the table, and how do we, how can we flip those resources to be used in a positive way, sometimes on the turn of a dime, right? If there's a crisis, how do we leverage resources really quickly? I would argue that businesses are in a better position to do that than government and then many of our nonprofits. And so I think B Corp has really recognized that that's an asset.
Is there anything else you want our viewers to know about running a socially responsible business and creating a better world?
The time is now. The time is now. We have to be bold. We don't have, in my opinion, and the opinion of many people, I would say, we just don't have the luxury of time. We really have to take action immediately to regenerate our environment, our people, our communities. There's a lot of healing that needs to be done because there's been a lot of pain. And I think for those that are listening and watching and reading, if we have a vehicle to make change, we need to use that vehicle. I would say if we do have a vehicle, we are blessed and we are lucky and we are privileged. So let's bring that to the fore and make sure that we're using that to make positive change, because there's many people that don't have the resources we have, nor the platforms we have. So I say, let's get on board together and let's know that we are in this together. And we have a really golden opportunity to turn the tide on some of what we're seeing out there. And we just got to be concerted and dedicated and work together to make it happen. And we can, and we will. And so we're eternal optimists. We just need people to get in there with us, get in the trenches, and start co-building this thing, and we'll get it done.
Well, I feel so inspired after conversations like this. I just want to go out there and find companies to refer to you and start building this better
Please
and
do.
kinder world together. So I thank you so much for your time, Eric, and for all the amazing work that you're doing. There's just only good to come out of all of this.
Of course. Thank you so much, Monica. It's been really fun to talk to you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.